Power is usually easy to see. Control is not. Most people assume control comes from whoever looks powerful. Governments, institutions, markets. But in complex systems, visibility is often a distraction. Because what actually controls outcomes rarely needs to be seen. Real control works before decisions are made, before reactions are triggered, before anyone realizes adjustment has already happened. Most systems are not controlled from the center. They are shaped by constraints, by limits that quietly narrow options, and by structures that absorb pressure long before power has a reason to respond. This difference is easy to miss, because power announces itself, while control prefers to remain structural. This channel isn't about headlines or opinions. We look at how systems quietly shape outcomes, over time, and across space. That's what we do here. In most global systems, rules matter more than commands. Constraints matter more than authority. And architecture matters more than intention. Control rarely gives orders. It designs environments. And environments decide how actors behave. When options are limited, choices become predictable. Not because people agree, but because alternatives disappear. This is how control operates without intervening directly. It reduces volatility by redirecting it. Pressure is not eliminated. It is managed spatially. Instead of breaking at the center, strain is pushed outward, toward places with fewer buffers, and fewer ways to absorb disruption. These regions do not fail suddenly. They operate closer to thresholds, where small changes have larger effects. Control anticipates this. It relies on margins to remain flexible. Edges bend so centers can remain stable. This is why reactions often look delayed. By the time power responds, control has already shaped the outcome space. Markets adjust quietly. Supply routes reroute. Capital pauses, then retreats. Not because someone ordered it, but because the structure made other responses impossible. This is why instability rarely looks random. It follows existing corridors, logistics networks, financial pathways, institutional hierarchies. The same structures that enable growth also determine where pressure accumulates. When stress enters the system, it does not spread evenly. It moves toward the least protected areas first. These areas experience disruption early, long before headlines appear, long before central indicators react. Jobs disappear quietly. Services thin out gradually. Local resilience erodes without visibility. From the outside, nothing appears urgent. From inside the system, thresholds are approaching. These changes do not register immediately, until limits are crossed, and instability becomes impossible to ignore. At that point, it looks sudden. Across space. Across time. But the system did not collapse. It redistributed strain. Short-term stability was preserved, while long-term fragility expanded elsewhere. This cycle repeats. Shock after shock. Edge after edge. With each iteration, asymmetry deepens. On paper, the global economy remains stable. Indicators recover. Markets normalize. But instability continues to circulate underneath. Not eliminated. Only displaced. Maps rarely show this movement. They capture flows. Trade. Capital. Connectivity. They do not capture pressure. They do not capture vulnerability. They do not show how close regions operate to their limits. Stability is not produced everywhere. And neither is instability. They follow the same structures, the same corridors, and the same hierarchies. Crises are not isolated failures. They are structural signals. They emerge from predictable places. Where exposure is highest, buffers are weakest, and attention arrives last. This is why instability rarely begins at the center. It starts at the edges. Understanding this changes how control is perceived. It is not about who gives orders, but about who designs constraints. Power departs visibly. Control operates quietly. And by the time outcomes appear inevitable, the system has already been adjusted. The world rarely works the way it appears on the surface. What shapes outcomes is usually hidden in systems, structures, and geography. On this channel, we break down those systems. Slowly, clearly, without noise. If this way of seeing the world is new to you, subscribing now means you won't miss what comes next. This is Behind the Map.